Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the Morning Kiran. I am so happy that you're here with me today. Every Tuesday, we make some time in the morning to pause before the day actually begins, to reflect, to reconnect, and to come back to ourselves. Last week, we talked about approvals and how easy it is to lose ourselves when we start trusting everyone else's voice than our own. And today we're going to talk about something very similar, a similar pattern that many of us carry, especially leaders, caregivers, parents, and those people that everyone else depends on. So today's topic is the hidden cost of being the strong one. Have you ever noticed some people become everyone else's safe space? Everyone comes to them when there is a problem. Everyone comes to them when life gets difficult. And everyone comes to them when something needs to be carried. And from the outside, it looks admirable. They seem calm, strong, capable, and maybe that's you. I know it has definitely been me. But here's what I've also learned over the years: being strong is a beautiful thing until strength becomes the only role you're allowed to play. I think for most people, they don't become the strong ones by choice. I think it just starts by love at times, or a responsibility that you have, or survival. And maybe you were the oldest child. Maybe you became the caregiver. Maybe life asked you to grow up very quickly. Maybe people depended on you. And because you could carry, you did. Then you carried more and more and more until one day carrying everything became the part of who you are. And that's when the real trouble begins, because strength is meant to be a capacity, not an identity. When strength becomes your identity, strange things starts to happen. You automatically says, I'm fine, even when you're not. You solve everyone else's problems before they even ask. You carry things silently. You avoid asking for help. You feel guilty when you're resting. You tell yourself, they need me. It is easier if I do it. I don't want to burden anyone. Does that sound familiar? One of the things I've observed throughout my life is people who burn out the most are often the strongest people in the room. Not because they're weak, but because they're caring too much. And no one knows, including them, because caring becomes normal. I remember periods in my life when I felt everything was my responsibility: work, family, employees, friends, problems, outcomes. I thought being strong one meant holding everything together. But over the time, I learned something important. Strength without support eventually becomes a pressure, and pressure eventually becomes burnout. Here's the hidden cost that nobody talks about: the cost isn't just exhaustion, the cost is loneliness. Because when everyone sees you strong, they stop checking on when you're actually in pain. People just assume you're totally okay. They just assume you can always figure it out. People just assume that you will also bounce back. And eventually you start assuming the same thing. You start believing what they believe about you. You stop sharing. You stop reaching out. You stop letting people see what's really going on inside you. And suddenly you're surrounded by people, but before, inside you feel lonely, alone. Another hidden cost is resentment. Not loud, not loud resentment, quiet resentment. The kind you don't even admit to yourself. The feeling of, why am I the only one that is carrying this? Why doesn't anyone else notice? Why do I always have to be the strong one? And then comes the guilt, because strong people don't think they're allowed to feel resentful. So they push it down, they go inward, and they carry even more. then something else happens. You lose your softness. You lose your softness. You become efficient, capable, resilient, but disconnected. Not because you want to be, because survival mode doesn't have much room for softness. And this is where many people begin walking away from themselves. Not all at once, little by little, minute by minute, day by day. So, folks, what do we do? What do we do in these situations? How do we remain strong without losing ourselves? Isn't that the secret answer that we need? That is the question that many of us have in our minds. I think it begins with one simple realization: you were never, never, never meant to carry everything alone. Never. Not as a leader, not as a parent, not as a partner, and never as a human being. This week, I want to invite you to pause before taking on something new. Ask yourself four questions. Do I actually have the capacity for this? Or am I just performing and pretending to be strong? What support would make this lighter? What am I not saying because I think I have to be the fine one? And what would change if I allowed someone to meet me halfway? Just sit with these questions. Pause, think, allow the thoughts to come through. You might be surprised by the answers. One of the most courageous things that a strongest person can do is receive. The hardest thing I had to learn: receive. Giving comes easily sometimes, and receiving takes a lot of hard work. Are you open to receive help? Are you open to receive support, receive care, receive kindness, receive, because receiving is going to require vulnerability, and vulnerability requires trust. So this week, I want you to practice one small thing. Let someone help you. Let someone else carry something than you. Let someone support you. Not because you can't do it alone, not because you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. One dear friend once said, taking help is okay. So, friends, being strong is beautiful, but being strong does not mean being unreachable. It doesn't mean being exhausted. It doesn't mean we have to carry the world. And true strength becomes, includes honesty. Let me say it again. True strength includes honesty. True strength includes support. And true strength includes you. So thank you for starting the morning with me, and take one small step this week towards letting the role soften. And remember, you don't have to earn support by suffering first. And I will see you next Tuesday with a fresh topic. Get Lead your day with awareness, with courage, and with little joy. A little announcement that I want to make. You can tell how happy I am. I am super, super excited for the following Tuesday, not today, the following Tuesday, for a little surprise, for something that has been cooking, something that has been brewing, something that I want to share with you. So stay tuned for June 23rd. And I think, if I can remember the calendar, don't count me on that. Do make sure you check the schedule, then I release it. We're going to do the following, the Morning Kiran, on Monday, because Tuesday is a day that is special, an announcement that is super, super special, that I've been slowly working in the little time that I end up finding somewhere or the other to make that work. So stay tuned. I do see a few questions, so let's see if we can tackle a few of them. Why is asking for help so hard? Because Many strong people have learned that being needed feels safer needing others. It becomes a habit, actually. What if nobody offers support? Good question. What if nobody offers support? You know what? Let's not worry about that. How about we start with how about asking for help? Let's start with the asking for help before we want to worry about if somebody's going to help us back. What if one thing I can do this week? Hmm. Let one person help you, not because you need rescuing, but because you're human. This episode definitely is something that took a while for me to work upon, but also a topic that I continue to work upon. Until next week, see you guys there. Good morning.